Hey, Dr. John Finn here. Welcome to the Habit Mechanic podcast. Right now, you can get my new best-selling book, Train Your Brain for the AI Revolution, at tougherminds.co.uk. The digital book, audiobook, and physical book are all available at a special price that you won't find anywhere else.
Hello, Habit Mechanics. It's Dr. John Finn here. This is a live stream in the Habit Mechanic University app as part of the Habit Mechanic Games, and we're also going to put out this as a podcast. So, what I've been really impressed by is a few people mentioning future, ambitious, meaningful stories and updating theirs in early December. I've spoken about this recently, where the reality is for most people, February becomes a graveyard of broken dreams. I think Bruce Springsteen had a song that said something similar to that, maybe not denoting February, but we set off in January with these great plans of what we'd like to do differently. In fact, that might be overstating it. We set off in January with ideas about what we'd like to do differently. We have goals, we know what we want to do, but actually we often don't have a very robust plan. But what isn't going to happen is you're going to wake up on January the 1st and be able to get straight into it. It's going to take some preparation. And I think what most people experience in January is desire to do things differently, but they are weighed down by the neurobiological connections they've been practicing in December over the Christmas period. And those connections are too heavy to break. And they end up getting a few weeks into January and they fail and they beat themselves up and they tell themselves that they'll never be able to do it. And the way to start dealing with that is to do something differently now in December. That's one of the reasons that we launched the December games, because we wanted to give people a pathway to having a really good December. Yeah, let your hair down over the festive period, no problem. But by having a good December, you're going to have a better chance of having a better January and February and so on. So if you want to have a great chance of achieving your goals in January and in 2025, then I would highly recommend that you create or update your future ambitious, meaningful story. And I think the biggest barrier for people to doing the future ambitious, meaningful story, which is part of the onboarding course in Habit Mechanic University. We also cover that in the Habit Mechanic book. But the biggest barrier people face is they think, oh, it's too big of a job to work out what I want to do in the distant future and then work out what that means I need to have achieved in the next 1 to 4 years, and then work out what does that mean I have to achieve in the next 12 months. And then what does that mean I have to achieve in this month and then this week and today, etc. You don't have to do the minute detail of the FAM story on your first draft. The key is just to get something working. And what I mean by that is just try to get a thread between the distant future and back to today. So let me give you a simple example of that. If you recognize that in the distant future you want to be healthy and happy, then that's a great starting point. And in fact, I've never met anyone that doesn't want to be healthy and happy in the distant future. So the metaphor we use for the FAM story, in case you're not familiar, it's an iceberg. So the top of the iceberg, sort of the apex, the very, very top, is being healthy and happy. And then you'd say, okay, well, in order to be healthy and happy in the distant future, what do I need to have achieved and do in the next sorry, I'm getting distracted by some of the comments coming in the live stream. Lizzie, I am wishing you a successful 2025 as well, and I know your fam story is going to be central in that. So if you want to be healthy and happy in the distant future, it's going to be then working out what do I need, what do I want to have and be doing in the next 1 to 4 years. So you know what that looks like for you. There'll be some tangible things. You might want to be not doing the job that you're currently doing because it's too stressful. You might want to be living in a different place. There might be cornerstone habits that you want to have developed, like better sleep, better diet, better exercise habits, so you can build on the brain hygiene that we started talking about in yesterday. In fact, we were talking about that. So, and then it's, okay, well, what does that look like for the next 12 months? What do I need to do? And then what about this month? And then what about this week? And then what about today? So I might come to the conclusion that it would be a great idea to start using the diet exercise swap tool to help me to build a better sleep habit today and tomorrow and this week. So by creating the fam story, we are creating goals, and goals increase our motivation. And then they also spotlight the habits that we're going to want to be working on. So the fam story is really simple to draft out, doesn't have to be perfect. And then it gives you an understanding of what you want to be prioritizing to help you to be at your best. And if you want to have a successful January and February, then you need to start doing this now. Again, this is why we're having the games in December. We haven't just held off until January. If you're in the games, then you are going to achieve your goals, and you're going to do it 37.5% faster, because that's, we know, is the average outcome for people when they're properly engaging in this process. As people are experiencing the Habit Mechanic University app and the game, it's not just a static app where you get some content. This is a experience. We are here to support you every step of the way. We have live sessions tomorrow and the day after, like we do every single week. We're chatting and communicating with people all the time, helping them with their questions. We have loads of great content as well. We have digital tools. This is an experience that is richer than standalone coaching. It is really, really powerful, and I really appreciate what everybody's sharing in the app, especially this week as we got the games underway. And again, if you go to the fam story idea, what's one of the reasons that we have the games is to create goals and reward and penalty systems to make it easier for people to stay on track, because these things are so important. So in short, if you want to have a successful January, February 2025, don't wait until January. Start doing something now. Start setting some parameters around the downtime that you're going to have around the festive period if you are, but don't let December sort of slip into a blur of hedonism or a blur of mismanaged brain states, because it's easy to do. And many people experience this in September. They had their time in August where they took some leave and they reflected and they recognised some things that they were doing that they weren't happy with, and some things they wanted to change. And they had the best intentions in September, but by the time they got to mid-September, they'd already failed, because the chains of habit were too heavy for them to break. And then those unhelpful habits get worse because the worrying and beating yourself up and telling yourself a negative story strengthens, and it just becomes really, really problematic. So let's end on an upbeat note. If you haven't started a fam, start one. Just do the basics. You can actually do that in the onboarding course in the app. You can actually do it as a digital tool to do that inside of the toolkit in the app. If you're not in the app, you can go to chapter 16 of Habit Mechanic book, and there's some instructions there of how to do it. If you've already created a FAM story, update it. Literally in 5 minutes, it's amazing how much clarity you can get. So it shows you where you've improved. When you update your FAM story, you can see the things that you actually achieved that you kind of forgot about or didn't notice. And then also, it fires up your motivation really, really quickly because you set some meaningful goals. Thank you so much for listening. Looking forward to more engagement and more questions coming into the app later today, and coming back to a few questions that people have asked me. If you are listening on the pod and you're not taking part in the games, you can. And the first 14 days are absolutely free. So you can do it without any cost at all, get all the benefits. So we hope to see you in the app if you're not here already. And then remember, get going with the FAM or update it. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to the Habit Mechanic podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe and tell someone else about one of the ideas or insights that you found most interesting.